everyone. Welcome to Reflections Arts Festival Film Screening. Thank you so much for joining us and tuning in and being here with us tonight. My name is Elfie and I will be your host for tonight's film screening. Now, before we jump into the short films as well as introducing our panelists, let me just give you guys a brief introduction on what exactly is Reflections Arts Festival. Reflections Arts Festival is a 2-week-long arts festival by the Republic Cultural Center, also known as TRCC, here in Republic Polytechnic. This year, we have adopted the theme of resilience in the arts and through the arts to reflect how we have persevered as one community to bring forth this festival despite the challenges posed from the pandemic. So this year's festival, we have a range of different shows lined up. So if you guys like singing, be sure to attend our singing workshop tomorrow on Zoom. We've also got a series of shows specially for you guys. Catch Tzang, Our Journey, Our Stories, Murder in Old Changi Hospital, and Momentum 13, a dance documentary, all on TRCC's YouTube channel. Catch our film screening series tonight on 24th as well as 26th January as we screen films by local directors and that represents and symbolizes resilience and the value of it. So tonight I am honored and actually really excited to be alongside Tzang Merwyn, Aaron Chen Angus, Rina Cheong Si Teng, as well as Lim Yen Kai for their film series that was premiered on First Shots last year. Now, just a little bit of background information on what First Shots is. First Shots is a student-run film festival founded in 2017 by RP lecturer Tzang Merwyn Tong. Alongside a team of RP students, First Shots was formed with the intent to showcase the works of Year 1 students from Republic Polytechnic, School of Technology for the Arts. Now, before we start the show, I would like to introduce our panelists. So maybe we can start with Kai.
Okay, so my name is Lim Yen Kai. I'm from DMPD, and I'm here for my short film Quilting, which was based off of a poem that I then adapted into a movie.
Hi, my name is Tzang Merwyn Tong. I'm one of the advisors for the Student Run Film Festival for Shots. Yes, and I'm here to represent the festival and excited to showcase these other films that are here in this Reflections.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm from the School of Sports, Health and Leisure. I'm here to represent the film Breaking Barricades. This is a film about rising above our inhibitions to talk about mental health.
Hi, my name is Rina. I'm also from the DMPD course, Diploma in Media Production and Design. And I'm here today as a representative of my team for the selected film, Walk Your Own Path. And it's about a film of an animation that transitions the real life aspect of how a character breaks free from parents' restrictions.
Yeah, so there you have it, your panelists for tonight, yeah? So before we start with the film screening itself, would you like to say a couple of words, Merwyn, to our audiences out there?
I guess there is a certain kind of mindset to have when you're watching a film that is first films. And I think when we go in with that kind of eagerness and curiosity to see what first ideas are about, that we can enjoy a very, very different kind of first work. Yeah.
Right, there you have it. So without further ado, let's just kickstart our film series for tonight.
Get the equations correct. Make sure you know how to derive the equations from here. All right, this is very important. Take it down. You need to understand how you go from v equals to tangent x, and you get the derivative of secant square x. Okay, I'm going to erase it right now. Okay, so now we're going to start on a new equation. Listen, the guys over there. Okay, important. Listen up. Okay, so you need to understand how you go from v equals to tangent x, and you get the derivative of secant square x, inverse of 1 over cosine square x. Okay, got this? Very important, you know. So you can substitute the values of to the constant, and you will retrieve this function over here. Right? So this function will then help you to derive further values of this function.
She looks like a baby.
This function.
Oh my god.
This function.
Exactly.
You will receive the derivative of half tangent square x plus a constant. So you can substitute the values of
I think you
to
look
the constant.
She looks like a baby.
So to solve these steps, you will receive the derivative of half tangent square x plus a constant. So you can substitute the values of these into the constant to this numbers. I'm very sure that it will come out in the exams. So don't lose marks unnecessarily by not doing what you okay? Right? So don't lose marks unnecessarily. Make sure you understand this, how, why,
Hey, are you okay?
Happiness cannot be stitched to a quilt. Loose threads on the reverse reveal, well, a mess. Pink peonies never reach full bloom, butterflies are silent, pinned to an orange sky. The phoenix rises from the ash but never flies out of the cloth. All depend on the whim of a needle in the hand of a man once in love, with an unspoken fear. The cord he was tied to will soon be undone. When quilting, one has a tale, a forethought of heaven or hell, with auspicious symbols from past lovers to share with those not yet at death's threshold.
I know you want to be a filmmaker, but you gotta be more realistic, alright?
Who will care to look and find joy in glossy starlings, rewriting patterns across a grey sky. Cotton kissing morning dew where love used to be. Take up the needle, John. Stitch that cord of dreams for which you suffer. That, too, is an escape.
Welcome back. So right now we'll be proceeding on to the Q&A portion of this session. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you guys can leave it in the live chat box and I'll be more than happy to ask the fellow panelists for you. So maybe I can just start off with the first question. So Merwyn, can you tell us how the idea of First Shots began?
Well, I teach in STA. I teach this module called Visual Storytelling. And I myself am a filmmaker. So I understand the kind of work that goes into creating a film. And in visual storytelling, our students are year one students. They are creating films for the first time. And I know how much passion and heart goes into a first film, but understandably, a first film usually would be a very, very raw piece of work. And I thought that you'd be, but in this rawness, I noticed that there is a certain kind of a beauty, a certain kind of a rawness in the expression that cannot be found maybe in more matured works. And I thought that would be quite a novelty, right? I mean, for RP to have our own little thing. And RP has many amazing things like the Ignite and, you know, there are a lot of things. So I thought that maybe RP can have our own little thing. Let's call it First Shots, a festival that showcases raw talent first works, and for films that are watched to be celebrated. It's not meant to be a big thing, just meant to be a little showcase in which people get to enjoy and celebrate the joy of creation.
Would you say when the students are, since you say it's a first time thing for them, right? Would you say that it's hard for them to produce this?
It depends. I think we get to ask the students.
Yeah, let's
But
ask the students. How do you guys feel like when you guys producing the film for the first time? Is it hard for you guys?
I think in a sense where we didn't really have any like camera experience, and this is like the first module in our first year, within the first semester. So it was more of like just having to experiment and just create a fun storytelling through just visual sequence. But because we're not really restricted on having like specific camera angles or like having to learn more about cameras and filming and stuff, so we just did based on what we just felt like, and it's just more of an expressive visual kind of thing. Yeah.
I think, yeah, I agree with her in the sense that it's like, in terms of creation of works like this, I feel like there's like 3 main stages. There's the before you learn the fundamentals, then you go on to learning the principles, then being able to master the principles and like breaking them to create something out of the box. So I think we're in this stage of like being naive and not knowing what boundaries we have and what fundamentals we need to follow by. So there's a sense of like chaoticness that, like what he said, turns into some sort of beauty when you actually put it into a work. Yeah.
So there's no restrictions for them, like that's what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
Naivety has its charm, right? You know, like when you talk about fear and whether or not it's difficult, maybe the fact that you do not know what you do not know gives you more courage, and learning to try to shoot something without the experience or the principles. Maybe that's a wrong thing to do, but there is a certain kind of energy in this just do it mindset where you're not restrained, and maybe that the lack of restraint is what gives the kind of films a certain kind of energy.
I see. That's actually really interesting because like, we've never thought about it. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. The films itself, what was the main inspiration for you guys when you guys were producing the film? So maybe we can start with Aaron.
Sure. So my film is, we started this film with the idea of doing something to promote mental wellness. So I actually started a conversation with Jeremiah, who is my cousin, who is the person who actually you see on Tropic Monsters TV, on how we can actually reach out to a wider audience to promote awareness about mental health and also to encourage people to speak up about it. So we were thinking, how best can we do this? We tried several different things. We tried campus interviews. We also tried a few other different forms of content, and then we decided on doing a short feature film, which is something new for both of us, because if you've seen TMTV's content, you know that it's usually very light-hearted, but this is our first time dabbling into something which is so serious. So the inspiration behind this was to use film as a media, as a platform to promote awareness, and also to provide a platform or an avenue for people who may not actually be in this area of filmmaking to experience it, and to also in the process learn about not just the technical aspects of filmmaking, but also about how you can advocate for mental health. So that's the inspiration behind it.
I see. Okay. How about?
For my film, like my team worked is part of visual storytelling's module, and it's like to do as a continuous assessment. But the main point of it was like a PSA, which is a public service announcement, and the inspiration for the film was actually about like how we move on from secondary school to poly life, and it is so much more freedom in a sense, but we also are mainly specifically choosing a course that we want to pursue. And sometimes in families there will be like parents that will have like put restrictions on children because they want to make them go to a specific course where like they have to learn about lawyer school or like doctor just to have a higher pay in a sense. So mainly we did like animation because it's more expressive in the visual sense, and we didn't really consider much about like just filmmaking and like having to do with camera work. So as a team, we just decided to produce this full animation that transitions to a real life scene where the character goes through his like path with his father, and it will like showcase on how he managed to break free from the restrictions and expectations. Yeah, and mainly just like the inspirations for it. Yeah.
I see. Okay. How about Kai?
I think my film wasn't really made off of like a very obvious inspiration because we were given like 10 poems to pick from to build upon. I read through the poems, I didn't really feel enthusiastic about either of them. And when I finally picked one, I settled on quilting. I didn't even really have a script or like a storyline I wanted to follow. I just turned on the camera and the first thing that came to my mind, I started shooting. Then afterwards, I realized that a theme that I really like, I think something that's super obvious in my film is the orange theme of everything. So I just sort of modeled it after like Mad Max Fury Road, where like everything is super orange. Then the story, the poem felt very like, it was hard to decipher. So I just went with what felt natural, which was about chasing something that keeps slipping away, but you still try again in the end. Then something that like occurred to me was how I was gonna pursue this like interest of filmmaking, and I was very like, I performed horribly academically, so I decided to just use that as the driving force for the film. Yeah, to show that hey, at least I'm good in this. Yeah.
I see. Okay, overall, right, all three films, I feel like it's really students are able to relate to it very, very deeply because the plots all resonates well, like mental health, expectations, as well as chasing your dreams, right? What do you think what was the message you guys were trying to convey to the student? Maybe not students like in Singapore, maybe like overseas as well, just generally students. Yeah. What was the message you guys were trying to convey to them? Yeah, maybe we can start there.
Okay. Yeah, so in alignment with the theme of First Shots, we also had this idea of how students can actually overcome some inhibitions that they may have to talk about this very sensitive topic on mental health. So we wanted to show students that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to reach out to others whenever you're feeling stressed, whenever you need some help to cope with all the different stresses that you actually encounter. So we set this, we set the film in the life of an RP student facing many different stresses from many different sources of stimuli, stresses with academic and non-academic things at the same time. So that I believe would actually resonate with quite a number of students. And also given the setting in the classroom, where sometimes students may be overtly focused on the problem at hand, right? And sometimes you need to actually look around to see whether your classmates, do they need help with anything? So that was essentially the message that we wanted to put across and to hopefully resonate with the audience.
I think it's really, really important that you mentioned that because I think in RP itself, there's a lot of students who think that way, you know, when they need help, they don't really ask for it. I think students, you guys are able to agree, right? Because most of the time when we ask for help, it's seen as like, you're weak, you know, you can't really handle that. Yeah, I think it's really important that that message is delivered to you guys because it's okay to ask for help. You get what I mean? Okay, so how about you? What was the message you were trying to convey through your film and animation?
I think the message will be quite obvious throughout the animation. It's basically to show like the whole entire plot was to create a character that is based off like having to view it as like when the audience sees themselves as the character, so such that it doesn't have like a specific name to it or anything, because it's a silent film. There is like no dialogue. And throughout the film, it was to showcase about having a sense of freedom and hope for yourself to pursue a hobby or career, something that you really want to do. And throughout the whole thing, it was basically like the character walks along the path where the father will be leading him towards a lawyer school, and then he'll be breaking free from that as he sees a self-reflection of themselves. This gives like a sense of empathy towards the character, and that it also brings out like how the audience can be able to see themselves as part of it. And it does cater to like quite a lot of students also, where they should also focus, maybe have like an interest that they want to pursue, and they should actually go for it instead of having to be so restricted on expectations and everything. Yeah, and that's mainly the message overall.
I think the main the part where I think the animated guy pulled off the shackles from his neck, right?
Yeah.
That was actually really touching to see, because after he pulled it off, he actually walked towards the path that he actually wanted to, and then the ending was with his friends. So that was actually really nice to see. Yeah, it was amazing. And moving on to Kai, your film.
I think the key message I was trying to convey is to when you are raised in Singapore, as you go through all the different schools, you start to place more and more of your self-worth onto your academic results. And it sort of becomes this very, like, this grade tells you who you are as a person and what you can be as a person. And Singapore, as of now, is not as, like, creatively inclined. So there are many people that I know of who have this insane talent in something else that is not academic, but they perform horribly academically. And that always puts them into this, oh, I'm not good at anything kind of mood. So I just wanted to hopefully tell people that you can do many great things. It's just that you're not good with numbers on paper, or like you're not good with language, but it doesn't matter because you can still show your worth in different ways. So yeah, that's the message of my film.
So many people have their own strengths and weaknesses, like as what you have said, and it's important to know your worth and also like what you are good at. So what he has just said, don't bring yourself down. Like, just because you guys are not good at something doesn't mean you are not good at anything else. Yep. Also touching on the inspiration subject, right? Merwyn, what was how did you come up with the theme of the festival?
The theme for the festival this year was called Rise Above. I think it's kind of like a reaction to what's happening in the climate of 2021. The First Shots 4, the theme for First Shots 4 was against the odds. It was at the early start of the pandemic. All right, it was 2020, the pandemic, and all of us are going through a state of shock, a state of adjustment. And we do not know what the future is about. That was the story of 2020. In 2021, things are starting to things that we think is going to be over soon is dragging on, and it's no longer about the odds. It's really about we're stuck with these odds for a long time. And then I was having this discussion with the other advisor, Miss Genevieve, and we're saying that we should be over the whole fighting against the odds thing, right? We need to do something more than that. We need to turn it around to a more positive message. And it says, okay, let's do this. Let's not go against the odds now. Let's rise above the odds. So we wanted the rise above message. And I think we did that with visual storytelling is a filmmaking module. Imagine a filmmaking module where people can't work in teams and where people have to do individual work, where so many of these films were all made under pandemic conditions, all right? How we had to get special permission to come to school, get special permission to work together. There are a lot of the student submission works which are one person filming, acting, and doing everything all by themselves. They chose animation, and there's a reason for it. I think it allows that whole collaborativeness without the need for the camera crew, and so so much unpredictability. So I think so that's what the team kind of gave us the energy to run the festival as well. I think the festival was, we didn't know how we're going to run the festival. Every time it's all, the idea of a screening, can it be done online? Will it still have that sense of camaraderie, the sense of enjoying something together? So this year we really did what we say, we rised above it. We had a physical exhibition as well as a digital online event. So it was like physical and digital. And I thought that we did that. It was like a little running team that inspired the organizers as well, the students as well.
That's actually really interesting. Okay, touching on the restrictions that you mentioned, for you guys, what was the filming process like for you guys? Was it difficult to like film everything with the SMM guidelines all in place? Yeah, you can start with Kai.
I think I sort of like avoided that by making the entire location just my living room. And like, so I didn't really have to bother with any of the COVID restrictions. I initially wanted some like shots of landscape and stuff like that, but I decided if I want to do that, I have to go all out and do majority of the shots in like outside. So I just decided to keep it consistent, keep it in just my living room, use everything that I have, and just make do. Like the film is in 720p, shot on like a camera that was released in 2009. It's like a beginner photography camera where like the recording limit is 3 minutes. So every 3 minutes I need to go back and then stop and then restart. Yeah, so I just make it with whatever I had lah.
Okay. The entire film, you were the main character, right? So that's why you say you didn't really have to bother with SMN guidelines and stuff like that. I see. Okay, that's actually really good. So you were the only one lah.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire filming itself. I see. Okay, how about Aaron? What was the filming process like for you?
Okay, so for the SMM guidelines, okay, this film was actually produced sometime around May 2021, and that was actually when we were just about to go into the phase 2 heightened alert, just before. So thankfully, we were able to get special permission for the students who were my supporting cast to come back to school. At the same time, also some of the crew from Tropic Monsters TV to also come into campus with the equipment. So what we did to ensure that we could, have a very, a very safe experience for all involved, right, was to adhere very strictly to IMDA's filming guidelines. So we booked several classrooms. When filming was done, we wanted to keep the number of talents on set to not more than 8. So that was what we actually adhered very strictly to, and the rest we would actually put them in a few other holding rooms. So I would say that we were still able to do it, and we had support from the RP administration to allow us to use the classrooms and also to carry out the procedures safely in spite of the regulations in place.
I see.
Yeah.
So for that period, it was 8 packs? 8 packs, am I right?
8 packs, 8 talents. Yeah, so that would actually be the limit
I see.
at that point of time. Yeah, that was before we actually cut it down.
I see. So for overall the filming process, it was it easy for you to handle like all the talents?
Right. So we actually had to do it in several different scenes. So we had to plan the scenes such that how many can we have on camera, even the background. We had to actually plan it carefully, and we had to schedule the different talents in the respective holding rooms and when we would actually call them in. So that actually required quite a fair bit of coordination.
I see.
But I mean, the supporting cast, they were all my mentees lah, so they had to listen to me. So no choice. Yeah. Okay.
That's you, the high authority in that area. I see. Okay. How about Rina? What was the filming process like?
Initially, when we started the assessment, it was around, we were given a time for a mid-semester break, so it was like at least 1 month to work on the entire project. Because we were working in teams and it was animation, we decided to, the process of it was basically to split the animation such that each team will at least have to work on some certain parts of the animation and to draw like the frames itself. And I mainly did like the part of actually compiling it such that it has like a frame loop kind of look. And my other team members will be part of the video editing process. Throughout the animation, we actually considered doing like a real life action film, but it was kind of hard to touch on the aspects of having like a expectation weighing on you down. So we just wanted to make it more of a visual aspect through the animation. And since the animation itself had like plain white and black mainly, and colors, we only have like 1 or 2 colors. And because it's that vague, when we transitioned the film from the animation, from the plain white void to the real life scene, we just wanted like a very simple, vague, like vast background that we chose of the location, like a grassland feel, and to appear in front of the camera and just like having a scene to showcase the main character itself for my teammates to do the filming. Then afterwards, we would just like simply compile it into Adobe Premiere Pro and video edit it all together as the whole film. And because of how simple and like we didn't really have to go out to do like any filming of just for it, so we just had to work on it during our mid-sem break, just to do our part on the animation while doing with my other modules also. Yeah, and it's actually quite simple in a sense, and it's quite easy.
I see. I mean, even though the film was simple, it's still, I'm
It
pretty
is,
sure
yeah.
the audience are touched, by the entire film itself. Okay, touching on that itself, this question is directed to Erin from the audience itself, because you had to handle a lot of talent, right? Was there any limitations during the film itself, like what you can and cannot do?
So I think one of the key things that we needed to ensure was that we had to do ART for all of the persons on set. So if they didn't have a negative ART, then obviously we couldn't allow them on set. The other thing also was that we did have a few external parties who were not from RP, some of the staff from Tropic Monsters TV, and also our main actress as well. So special permission had to be sought for them to come in, as well as to be on set as well. So that required approval in advance. Of course, we also had to do several things, such as to book all of the venues in advance, and also to seek permission from our estate's office to bring all the equipment on site as well, and to do the setup beforehand. And we had to actually provide our entire admin program. Everything had to be provided for approval. So I guess nothing much out of the ordinary, because that is something that we usually do on productions anyway. So I wouldn't say that there has been a lot of restrictions. It's just that we have to abide by the SMM regulations that's for the good of everyone, to keep everyone safe. So that's essentially what we have.
So as long as you abide by the SMM guidelines, there's no problems at all.
As long as we abide, yes, that's right.
Okay. Okay. We have one more question directed to Merwyn. Do you intend to expand first shots to other schools as well as, do you intend to expand to other schools instead of making it STA centric?
Oh, First Shots has always been this idea of a festival that is a celebration of first work. So I think it was only born out of STA because I'm from STA. And the idea of celebrating first films can be, the idea of making first films can be done by just about anybody. It's not necessarily only an STA thing. Take a look at all these filmmakers, they are year one filmmakers. STA is not an animation school. We have no animation classes. We didn't teach we teach our students how to work in teams, but we have not taught them how to shoot themselves. And here, all this crazy innovation come about because of the energy of their own desire to tell a story. So we had this open category thing as a way of reaching out to just about anybody, not just students, but staff as well, who want to submit places for first works. So yes, it can be an RP-wide thing. It can even be beyond RP. I did talk about first shots too in various other educational institutions, and we never know. It could or might even be something that can be carried out, born in RP, but to be carried on in other educational institutions, because there is a certain kind of a charm in having a platform for which raw talent, unpolished works can be appreciated and enjoyed. It need not be great, but it can be enjoyed. Yeah, so yeah.
Okay, would you say, just out of curiosity, would you say that different schools here in RP have their own unique vibe? So, like for example, STA has their own way of shooting things, and if SMC were to join in this festival, will you be able to tell the difference between SMC films and STA?
Of course, both schools had their strengths, right? I think SMC definitely has a stronger journalistic, program kind of content kind of work, and STA maybe has a bit more of that whole technical, creative kind of a thing. I never see films as like which school, which clan, which tribe. I see everyone, whether it's SOH, SMC. I see everyone as individuals. So they are, yes, they come from a school, they represent their culture, their identity, their school, their discipline. But everyone is an individual. Every student is an individual. And sometimes that whole individual idea can be very, very charming. And in fact, the fact that we made a lot of the work individual work rather than group work allows for actually very, very raw, authentic human feelings, such as trying to chase something and slipping away. Wow, how do you translate that? How does a group come up with that? Sometimes maybe something so intimate like that is something that's born out of people when their feelings are raw, and when film becomes not a medium or project to do, but film becomes a medium to express a human consciousness.
I would say that films are very personal, right? To the person when producing it, like Kai, it's very personal. The concept itself. Yeah. Okay. So we'll move on to the next question. How long did the entire filming process took? Yeah. We'll start with Rina, maybe.
Yeah, like for my assessment, it was mainly just given right before our mid-semester break. So we had about a month or so to work on it, and during that time we would have to work also on our other module project works, and alongside we just had like to work as a team to basically plan out and give some specific time of the day to at least like do part of the animation slowly, since we only had like 1 month or so anyways. And it was a rather like, because as part of the process we also had like storyboard, which is like already to draw out what we plan to include. And since the animation itself is also part of drawing, so it was rather straightforward to at least like having it to refer to our animation itself. And throughout the time, it was rather quite of like a own time, own target kind of thing. And we managed to at least just set 1 week before the actual submission deadline, and then we just have to compile it all together, be on call together to look out for the editors that were, my teammates will be the editors, to compile the videos together and produce like the final product and to do like final checks and everything. Yeah, so it's rather quite like freely done.
So it's OT, like the entire film. Okay, I see. How about Aaron?
So we actually started thinking about this seriously, I think maybe in mid-March or so. So from then till the filming, I think the whole process up to the post-production, maybe about a month plus or so.
A month.
Yeah, so that actually included the conceptualization, which was done mainly together with Tropic Monsters TV, Jeremiah. We actually were thinking of many different ways that we could actually bring the message across. So that first, and then after that, casting. So looking for specific people that we thought could carry the role through. That also probably that actually was pretty fast because we already had the lead actress in mind, and the supporting cast as well. So I think I may have mentioned that the supporting cast mostly were my mentees. So one of the things I wanted to actually make use of this time was to actually engage them. So I spent some time to convince them to come on set, and also to overcome some of their inhibitions to appear on film and to be part of a production. So probably that took a couple of weeks or so, and to convince them, and to get them to come down to RP, appear on camera, and also to eventually post that film on Tropic Monsters TV's platform so that we could reach out to a larger youth audience. So yeah, I think this whole process, all the way from the start to the posting on the platform, maybe about a month plus. Yeah.
I see. You said you were convincing your mentees. Were they like nervous to be on camera, or?
Well, most of them, I would say all of them, first-time actors, I suppose. So yeah, I think and as you know, this is the I would say the post-COVID era. So most of us have not actually had the opportunity to experience a lot of face-to-face interactions. So there was limited interactions I had with my mentees face-to-face prior to that. So most of my engagement with them was online. So that actually added another layer of complexity to this process, convincing them to come on set, come on site, and also appear. And in fact, seeing me for the first time in person on set, quite a number of them.
I see.
That was the issue.
So when they met you for the first time, were they like intimidated, or were they like just like?
I mean, I've been engaging them, but it was mostly online. Yeah. So, but when I met them on set, it was the first time I met most of them face to face. So yeah, that was also another interesting experience as well. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
When you meet for the first time in real life.
And you don't just meet, you kind of meet to do something together.
That's
And
right.
experience something new together. I thought that was a nice good job.
That was actually a really nice moment for all of you to bond through the film itself. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How about Kai? What was the film? How long did it take for you to film the entire thing?
Before Rina answered, I was thinking about your question, right? Then I was thinking like, we had such a short duration of time. But then she said 1 month, and then I realized, oh yeah, we actually were given like a month long to prep. And the total time spent filming probably wasn't that much, but I spent like 3 nights in a row, like 5 hours each night after 12 o'clock, after my family has gone to bed, to film. I think I filmed it like 3 days before submission time, so it felt like I wasn't given a lot of time, but now I'm only realizing that, yeah, we were given a lot of time. Then it was just as soon as everyone went to bed, and I had this one shot that's going out of the HDB window, so I needed to make sure that the people living opposite had their lights off, because I knew that. So I just sat there for that one particular shot. I sat there for like an hour and a half, I think, just waiting until like this one particular house with like RGB lights that was flashing. I had to wait for that to turn off first. Then I got the shot. Then the rest of the shots, it took forever to set up because I was doing it alone. So it was 5 hours each night, 3 nights in a row, a day before submission. Yeah.
I have a question. What is it like working in solitude? Like you have to, you're sitting alone you painted a very nice picture for us, like a guy in black in a dark room, waiting for somebody to off their lights, all alone, waiting for people to sleep. Yeah, you're working all alone and, you know, no one to talk to. So what's it like?
I think it's very freeing in the sense that if we are doing a group project, right, you got like 3, 4, 5 people, they all have their own style, their own niche, and when you work on a film, everybody wants to chip in that part of themselves. So, but then there's also a group that is made out of members that are too polite, so you always compromise to give this person this chance to show their style, and then this person gives the other person their chance to show their style. It ends up becoming a little bit messy in a sense. So when I'm working in solitude, I have my direction, I have my style, I can just flood my work with what I feel is best. So it's very freeing.
I can understand.
I see. So what you're saying is, you know, working alone is best for you, is it? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Okay. So there you have it. Thank you so much for, you know, giving us your comments and your questions as well. I'm pretty sure you guys had a meaningful and entertaining time, you know, watching the films, as well as, you know, getting to know the films through personally by the, you know, the directors and producers, as well as getting to know more about First Shots from Merwyn. So thank you so much for those questions and comments. And lastly, of course, thank you so much for tuning in and joining us here tonight. And just for your information, we have a lot of series of interesting programs all lined up for you here in the upcoming weeks to come, as mentioned, you know, at the start. So be sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram and Facebook as well, to catch up more updates on Reflection 2022. And you know, since all of you are here, might as well you guys subscribe to, you know, RP's TRCC YouTube channel. So go ahead and click that subscribe button so you guys won't miss, you know, any updates or contents, you know, in the upcoming weeks. So once again, join us again for the next film screening with Elisa Fella and Kalai Vanan for their film Disability on 24th January from the comforts of your own homes, like what you guys did today. And 24th January, which is next week. So with that, any last words from the panelists to our audience? No?
Thank you.
Short and sweet from our panelists. So that's it for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again, and we'll see you guys very soon. Bye.